Hello, my dear students. How are you? First, I would like to praise myself. I am Siddhartha Shekhar Bishwas, lecturer, Department of English, Makoil Haji Abdul Latif University College. Today, we want to read a famous literature in the history of English literature. Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Preface to Lyrical Ballads. In the history of English literature, it is more famous than any other literature. In 1798, William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge jointly published Lyrical Ballads. And after publishing the Lyrical Ballads, there are some criticisms, and some critics attacked William Wordsworth. That's why he was bound to write preface to Lyrical Ballads. At first, we want to discuss about the writer or the poet William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was born 7 April 1770, Cockermouth, Cumberland, UK, and he died on the 3rd April 1850, Cumberland, UK. His father name is John Wordsworth. He was a lawyer. His mother's name is Annie Wordsworth. His wife name is Mary Hassington, and his some books, The Prelude, Lyrical Ballads, and more. He was the second child of his parents, and his another sister. The name of his sister is Dorothy. Now, we want to learn some ideas about the preface to Lyrical Ballads. Wordsworth's preface to Lyrical Ballads is known as an unofficial manifesto of English Romantic movement. It brought about an important thing in the literary area with its emphasis on imagination, spontaneity, feeling, and simplicity. The Lyrical Ballads was first published, we have already said, first published in 1798, and it continued a short advertisement or foreword which was intended to set forth the poet's main points of argument. The Lyrical Ballads, published in 1800, was accompanied by an elaborate preface. The preface was further enlarged, and it was added to the edition of the Lyrical Ballads in 1802. There was also an edition of an appendix on poetic diction to the preface. In fact, the preface of 1802 is most commonly studied today. Wordsworth wrote a new preface in 1850 edition of the Lyrical Ballads, and this is known as essay supplementary to the preface 1815. Thus, Wordsworth continued to revise the preface for each new edition of the Lyrical Ballads. The reason for this revision of the preface was twofold. Firstly, Wordsworth was more a poet than a critic. Secondly, he felt the necessity for clarifying his points to the curious readers. Wordsworth's purpose was to create a public test for his poetry by writing a preface, and he was to create a public test of his poetry by writing a preface, and he was considerably successful in putting forward the nature and characteristics of a new trend of poetry called the Romantic poetry. We know that after 1798, a revolution out in English literature, because William Wordsworth started or broke the tradition of English literature. He broke the classic rules and he gave the place of romanticism. He gave the place of imagination. He gave the place of emotions. He gave the place of independence of the general people. And that's why he earned very lucid work, rustic works, and very common works in the rural areas. That's why the critics did not support this. Some critics did not support this. They did not obey the rules of romanticism. They did not obey William Wordsworth. They think that it was not correct. But we observe that William Wordsworth was strict in his discipline, and he wanted to support his writing very much. Not only he, but also his some supporters and some friends know about him very much. When some critics criticized William Shakespeare roughly, he was bound to write preface at first. He did not agree to write preface to the lyrical ballads because he did not emphasize his writing on his readers. That's why he didn't want to write lyrical ballads, preface to lyrical ballads. But some of his friends requested him to write it, and then he prepared to write something. This is called preface to lyrical ballads. There are main points of preface to the lyrical ballads. The first edition of the lyrical ballads, Wordsworth says, was an experiment in the composition of poems, and he was happy to see its popularity. When he published this composition, he said that it was his experiment to the readers. He wanted to test his writing. That's why he wrote this composition. The poems were different from the new classic poetry, both in subject matter and language. So, some of his friends and admirers requested him to add a preface to the second edition of the lyrical ballads. But Wordsworth was not willing to write preface, I have already said before, because it would be unwise to win the support of the reading public through reasoning. He did not say anything for his support. That's why he did not provide any reason. He should rather trust the good sense of his readers. He has a belief to his readers that he has a trust that his writing will be congratulated on the general people. His preface, in fact, is in the nature of an introduction to the new kind of poetry, and at the same time a defense of his theory that poetry must be written in a selection of the language really spoken by men in a state of emotional excitement. Poetry must be emotional. Poetry must be simple. Poetry must be easy and lucid. He wants his readers that they should not expect conventional pleasure from his poems because they are a new kind of poetry, radically different from the poetry of his predecessors. The lyrical ballads, which was composed by William Wordsworth and S.T. Colvin, it was actually the broken of classical rules and the tradition, broken of tradition, broken of convention, and a new creation in the history of English literature. He wants his readers that they should not expect conventional pleasure from his poems, because they are a new kind of poetry, radically different from the poetry of his predecessors. Fundamentally, it was quite different from traditional literature. That's why it was criticized. Regarding his aim, Wordsworth says that his chief aim has been to choose incidents and situations from humble and rustic life. He spent his maximum time with his countryside, country people, rural people, and he is actually habituated with the rustic language, That's why he chose the rustic language, he chose the rural language, and to relate them in a selection of languages really used by men. At the same time, he has thrown over them a certain coloring of imagination so that ordinary things would appear to the mind in an unusual aspect. He has chosen, I have already said, he has chosen humble and rustic life because in it the essential passions of heart find a free and powerful expression. Because in rustic life the feelings are simpler and easy to understand, and because the passions of the rustics are closely connected with the beautiful and permanent forms of nature. He wanted to make a relation between man and nature. Wordsworth has used the language of the rustic because such people hourly communicate with the best objects of nature, from which the best part of language is derived. But he is aware of the defect of his language, and so he has used this language after purifying it of all that is coarse and disgusting in it. poetry shows the rustic words, rustic language. He tries to purify it, and then he selects the words or language in his literature. Poetry says Wordsworth is the spontaneous. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, but these feelings are tempered and modified by thought. This is the definition. This is the definition of poetry, which is composed by William Wordsworth, and this is more famous definition of poetry. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. He emphasizes on feelings. He emphasizes on ideas, general ideas, simple ideas. He emphasizes on emotions, etc. In his poems, feelings are more important than action and situation. Feelings is more important. Feelings is more important than action and situation. The theme and style of his poems are different from that of the neoclassic poetry. It is quite different from neoclassic poetry. He has avoided the use of the artificial hackneyed devices of poetic diction used by contemporary poets. He actually avoided his contemporary writers. That's why he broke the tradition in English literature, and it became a revolution in English literature. The theme and style of his poems are different from that of the neoclassic poetry. He has avoided the use of artificial and hackneyed devices of poetic diction used by contemporary poets. Wordsworth affirms that there neither is nor can be any essential difference between the language of prose and metrical composition. Metrical composition is important, but it does not emphasize on metrical composition in the poetry. The only difference is that the poets use meter, but it is not essential for poetry. Of course, it is an essential source of pleasure, and so its use is desirable. There is no necessity of metrical or rhyme in the poem. Poem is actually will be spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Next, there is no need for artificial devices and foreign splendor in poetry. It is the passion and emotion that matters. Poetry is a passion. Poetry is an emotion of general mind of the people or the readers. A poet is a man speaking to men. He writes not only for his own pleasure but also for the pleasure of his readers. A poet doesn't write his poetry only for his pleasure. He should be attentive for the pleasures of the general people, general readers of English literature. A poet is a man with greater sensibility, greater power of imagination, greater knowledge of human nature, a more comprehensive soul, greater zest for life, and a greater power of communication. It will be greater power of communication. Communication is the main thing in our natural life. So communication will be very easy and comfortable. Next, poetry is superior to philosophy, history and science. Poetry is superior to philosophy, poetry is superior to science, and poetry is superior to everything. Poetic truth is much higher than the truth of philosophy or history. Philosophy deals with abstract truth and history with particular facts. But poetry gives us universal truth and illustrates them through particular examples. Poetry will be truth, and this truth is very essential in human being. And this truth comes from the easy and comfortable language of the poem. The scientist studies through his intellect, and so his pleasure of discovering the truth is personal. The poet, on the other hand, appeals to the soul and heart of man. He emphasizes on the soul, on the heart of human being. The soul and heart are related to nature. That's why he emphasizes on soul and heart of man. So, his truth is universal and general and can be shared by all. Poetic truth, in fact, is complementary to scientific truth. It colors the achievements of science with emotions and feelings. Poetry gives the color of anything. That's why anything will be more powerful. If poetry doesn't give any color, the literature is actually vanity. So, he emphasized on the color, on the emotion, on the sentiment, on the independence of human mind. Justifying the use of meter, Wordsworth condemns once again the use of poetic diction. Poetic diction means poetic writing style of a poet, poetic diction. And we know that the poetic diction of Wordsworth is very easy, very lucid. Meter is regular, but poetic diction is irregular and arbitrary. The rules of meter are fixed, while poetic diction has no such rules. Poetic diction should have no strict rules. It will be independent. It will be free. The poet gives several reasons for using meter in his poetry. Meter, number one, meter provides an additional source of pleasure. He has simply followed tradition in using meter. Meter can produce pleasure even when there is no poetic diction or even when the language is simple. Meter has a tempering and sustaining effect on the flow of emotion and passion. It softens and tempers the harsh, the painful, and the pathetic. It imparts passion to the words and enables the poet to produce the necessary emotional excitement. Last of all, meter provides an element of contrast, a perception of similarity and dissimilarity. Wordsworth defines poetry as spontaneous overflow of powerful things. It is most important part of the definition of poetry, which comes from William Wordsworth. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. Tranquility means peace, calm. The process of poetic creation occurs through our stages, through four stages: observation, number one, observation, creation, contemplation, and imaginative excitement. Wordsworth requests his reader to judge his poems on the basis of his feelings. Wordsworth asks or urges his readers that they should judge his poem with their feelings, with their emotion. And not on the basis of any external standard laid down by the critics. Once again, the poet reminds the reader that his poetry is entirely different from the conventional poetry. His poetry is actually far different from conventional or classic rules, and he expresses his hope that its success will pave the way for the production of purer kind of poetry, which will be able to give permanent and higher pleasure. Poetry gives us permanent pleasures. Poetry gives us permanent peace. This is called poetry. And William Wordsworth actually emphasized on the peace of mind, tranquility of mind. That's why poetry will be very easy, and it will be emotional, it will be excitement, and that's why he urges to his readers that they should judge his poetry in their excitement, in their emotional excitement. In Preface to Lyrical Ballads, at first is written 1802, and next time it was written 1805, and next time it was written 1815. And when he wrote the next preface, he expressed his feelings, and he emphasizes on his writing very easily to the readers. William Wordsworth is very important poet in our English literature. He brought the original romanticism in the history of English literature. That's why he is great in English literature. Thank you very much.